So next up we have William Johnson, Executive Chairman, Lithium Energy Limited.
Hi everyone. What a great presentation from Tony. That was it's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. So, Lithium Energy. For those of you who weren't paying attention last year, Lithium Energy was one of the best performing IPOs of the year. We listed the company in May last year with a 20-cent issue price. And over the course of last year, it rose significantly to a high of $1.33 earlier this year. Now, normally when you see a chart like that, you expect it to be caused by fantastic drilling intersections or some such exploration results. I'm embarrassed to say that since the IPO, we haven't actually drilled a single well. So what's behind this stellar growth in the share price? Well, three things mainly. Firstly, I think a growing recognition by the market and investors that not only do we have one of the highest grade graphite deposits anywhere in the world located right here in Australia, but we have what is, in my opinion, one of the most exciting and prospective lithium projects of any ASX junior company. And I'll be focusing most of my presentation on the lithium solar project. In addition to the prospectivity of our projects, of course, over the last 18 months, we've witnessed the growing awareness of the electrification of vehicles. I'm sure you've seen many slides over the last couple of days, and Tony had some himself about the, I guess, the increasing demand that's being driven by the electrification of vehicles for both lithium and graphite. And most of the reports and research that we're seeing indicates that the demand for these critical minerals is going to increase at least 5, maybe 10-fold over the next decade. So everyone is convinced there's going to be a significant supply shortage of at least these minerals, and we're going to do our best to see if we can help fill some of that supply. Thirdly, on the back of the, I guess, the same sort of market forces, governments around the world providing subsidies for the electrification of vehicles, investments in charging stations and so forth. We've seen an incredible increase in the price being realized for lithium products, both carbonate and hydroxide. So these are the factors which have contributed to the stellar performance of our share price to date. So what's so special about our Solaroz lithium brine project? And before I go into detail, I've been asked a few times the last couple of days, why the name Solaroz? Well, it's pretty simple, really. The project is based in the Olaroz Salar, or Salt Lake, in Argentina. And the Spanish word for sun is sol. So after a few nice bottles of Argentinian Malbec, we came up with the name Solaroz, and it happens to have Oz on the end too, so there's a nice connection there for Australia. And that, so just going back to that picture for a moment, if this button works. So that's a drone picture we took a couple of years ago, which shows partially the extent of our ground, and there'll be maps I'll go through later on in the presentation to give you a bit more detail. But you can see there the flatness of the surrounding area to the Salt Lake, which is where our tenements are located. So first of all, it's all about location, location, location. Our project is located right in the heart of the South American Lithium Triangle, which is where the world's largest reserves of lithium are currently found. Argentina is one of the top 3 producers of lithium, along with Australia and Chile. And lithium brine projects out of Argentina are recognized as being amongst the lowest cost producers of lithium carbonate anywhere in the world. What's so special about lithium brine projects? Well, firstly, they tend to have much lower operating costs. The production process is pretty simple. First of all, you pump the lithium-rich brine up from subsurface aquifers, leave it in evaporation ponds to evaporate over a period of time where the sun does all the work. Then there's some processing required to produce a highly concentrated product for shipment. It's pretty straightforward, fairly simple, proven, and it's more environmentally friendly. There's a lower carbon footprint than most of the hard rock spodumene projects which are happening here in Australia. So this chart sort of, I guess, highlights the fantastic location that we have for our project. The red squares there on this picture are our tenements. The yellow areas are the tenements owned by Orocobre, or Alchem as they're now known, and the blue areas are owned by Lithium Americas. So you can see we've got some great neighbours. Alchem currently has a market capitalisation of, I think, $8.5 billion, and most of that valuation is attributable to this project there, where they've been producing lithium carbonate since, I think, about 2015. Lithium Americas have, over the last year, invested almost $500 million in developing their project just to the south of ours, and they're looking to get into production this year. Alchem have also recently announced an upgrade to their resource and are planning to increase their production from 25,000 tonnes of lithium carbonate equivalent per year to 46,000 tonnes of LCE. So there's an awful lot happening at this salt lake, and we're right in the middle of it. So what is it we're looking for there? Well, we've established an exploration target of up to 8.7 million tonnes of lithium carbonate equivalent. And to put that into perspective for you, Alchem's published JORC resource up until recently was only 6 million tonnes of lithium carbonate equivalent. Now, just last week, because of further drilling they've done, they've more than doubled that. But still, we're looking to establish a resource that's comparable to the resource that Alchem currently have. And I'll remind you, that's a company that's currently worth over $8 billion. The model we have is very simple, as you can see from this diagram here, and will be highlighted in the other maps I'll go through in a moment. Our areas are located on the very edge of the salar, but we've got some compelling evidence, which I'll be going through shortly, which demonstrates that we should be able to drill down through our tenements into the underlying subsurface aquifers, which are what Alchem is tapping into for their production. It's a fairly straightforward model, and one that's already been proven in other salars in Argentina. For example, Galan has a very similar model. They're 1 or 2 years ahead of us. They've been drilling in a similar fashion on the edge of their salar, and again, that's also validated the model that the lithium-rich brine aquifers tend to spread out sideways from the centre of the salar and extend under the alluvial fans that typically encircle the salt lakes. So why are we so convinced that we will be able to establish such a sizable resource? Well, all of our tenements are located very close, within 20 kilometres of the existing bore fields of Alchem. But more importantly, we've had access to the historical work that's been done on this salar by Alchem and others. And this is a slide that's particularly important. I'm going to spend a bit of time on. So again, these squares here, all these rectangles here, are the tenements that we currently hold. If you can see these lines here, the horizontal lines there, and the vertical and diagonal lines there, those are historical gravity and geophysical lines that Orocobre and others, well, mainly Orocobre, have done over this salar. And you can see that some of these lines run right alongside our tenements there and also there. So we've been able to look at their data, interpret it, and the following slide will illustrate how they demonstrate that the brines that are being tapped into by them, by Alchem, extend underneath our areas. So These slides here, or these diagrams here, show the results of those surveys done by Orocobre. These are our tenements here, and these are our tenements here. And so you can see the dark blue here. This is the lithium-rich brine aquifer that can be seen extending underneath our tenements. And that's what we're planning to prove with our exploration program that's going to be occurring over the next 6 to 9 months, is to undertake our own geophysics and our own drilling on those tenements to tap into those aquifers and establish a resource of our own. So next steps for Solaroz are firstly, we're in the process of just finalising all of the environmental approvals that we need to undertake our geophysics and drilling campaigns. We have 8 tenements in total. We've just received approvals for 2 out of the 8, and I'm expecting the remaining 6 approvals to come in the next couple of days, or maybe a week at the most. So we're now in a position to start doing our own exploration on the tenements, and that will comprise of a program of mostly geophysics. We'll start off with some passive seismic work to identify where the depth of the basement is underneath our concessions. We'll then move to some geophysics to identify above the basement where the layers of conductive brines are. And then once we've established that, we'll then be drilling. We're planning up to about 5,000 meters of drilling to then test all of our tenements. We'll just go back to here. So we'll be looking to drill over here and here in the first instance. And the objective there is to establish a maiden resource for our project, as I previously mentioned, up to 8.7 million tonnes of lithium carbonate equivalent. So obviously we're incredibly excited now. We've got the permissions to all the approvals to start work, and we're looking forward to undertaking that program over the next 6 to 9 months. Moving on to our other project, which is, I think, to some degree, overshadowed by our lithium project, but it's still a fantastic project nevertheless. The Paydirt Graphite project is located in Queensland, so right here in Australia, and is one of the highest grade graphite projects held by any ASX-listed listed company. We've held this project for a number of years, and we've already established a resource there of 6 million tonnes, approximately 6 million tonnes, an average grade of 16% TGC, or total graphite content. Now, most graphite projects you see around the world have TGCs of closer to 5 or 6%. So this is a really high-grade resource, and in particular, we have over almost 500,000 tonnes of contained graphite with a cutoff of over 18%, or over 20, or close to 20%. So we've got albeit a relatively small resource compared to some of the bigger projects in Africa. It's in a really good, obviously, location, being here in Australia, and the grades give us some significant advantages when we move towards production and moving down the value chain, which I'll talk about in a moment. As well as defining the maiden resource there, we've been working closely with CSIRO, who have been helping us confirm the suitability of this material for use in electric vehicle batteries. And we've also demonstrated our ability to produce graphene out of our graphite using a process known as chemical exfoliation. And graphene also is one of those elements, well, sorry, not an element, but it's a form of graphite that's increasingly being considered for use in batteries to assist with the chemical properties and performance of batteries. So as well as having this test work positively confirm our ability to use our graphite in the EV space, it's in a very favourable location. We have a fairly straightforward mining prospect ahead of us, because the deposit basically starts at surface and just extends down quite widely. So it's fairly straightforward open pit mining is being contemplated there. And in addition to our Burke deposit, we also have another prospect which is located nearby, the Corella prospect, which we're looking to start drilling on in the next couple of months as well. One of the really exciting, I guess, prospects for for this project alone. You've probably heard other graphite companies talk about this opportunity over the last couple of days, is not only just to mine the graphite, produce a concentrate and ship it off overseas, but to add considerable value to it. And one can do that by producing a product called Purified Spherical Graphite, which is a key ingredient in the use of anodes for lithium-ion batteries. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the demand for these graphite materials is expected to increase tenfold over the next decade. And at the moment, most of the PSG, which is used by battery companies for use in their batteries, comes from China. China has a tendency to use some very highly toxic ingredients to purify the graphite. And so there's a real opportunity that exists for companies here in Australia to meet the expected demand growth from the use of and production of PSG using more environmentally sustainable methods. And there's a tremendous amount of technical capability here in Australia, a lot of government support for this kind of industry. And we're looking very closely at the opportunity for ourselves to invest in this downstream processing capability so that we can not just mine the material and sell a concentrate, but add some considerable value for our shareholders and produce a much more higher value product. And another key reason why we're well positioned to do so is the location of our project. It's very close to a railway line that goes straight to Townsville. And Townsville, as probably some of you know, is an emerging battery mineral hub. So there's a lot of infrastructure there being built and developed to support these kinds of downstream processing opportunities, and we're very excited by that. So the next steps for Burke, we're continuing with some further test work with the CSIRO, particularly now to focus on the spheronization of our graphite to work out what's the best processes to use to produce the PSG product. We're also looking to embark on a sequence of studies, ultimately culminating in a feasibility study for our own downstream PSG processing facility. I touched on the exploration aspect as well. We're looking to do 2 campaigns of drilling over the next couple of months in Queensland. At Burke, we're looking to do some further drilling to increase the confidence in our resource. We currently have the resource to an inferred category. We're going to be doing some further infill drilling in hopefully May to upgrade that to a more robust indicated resource, which will then be used to feed into our studies on the mining, processing and downstream development. With Corella, a year or so ago, we undertook some geophysics there, as you can see by the sort of the white and red blobs there. So there were some very highly conductive and prospective areas that we've identified. Rock chip sampling also has confirmed there that there's graphite of similar high quality and grade to what we found in our Burke project. So we're really excited to start putting some drills in the ground there too. And again, we're just in the processes now of finalising arrangements with contractors to start work there. So there's a great deal of news flow about to come out over the next couple of months relating to the advancement of drilling and studies around our graphite project at Burke. Now, you can't do this kind of work without a great team. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive and very talented team. Farooq and Victor, Farooq Khan, Victor Ho are here in the audience today. I've worked with Farooq and Victor for over 20 years now. I think we've worked pretty well together. And we've got collectively a lot of experience in resource projects and also corporate development work. Pete Smith is our technical director. Pete actually was the one who originally, sourced the Burke graphite project. Pete's a very experienced and talented geophysicist who again has been working with us for a number of years. And we're about to expand our team. I'm heading over to Argentina tonight to kick off our exploration activities over there and start building up our local team to move our efforts forward in Argentina. So, in summary, with the lithium, it's all about location, and we have a fantastic address. I hope, for this presentation, you've been able to see why the market is so excited about the prospects that we have for advancing our lithium project in particular, but also the graphite. We can't wait to get on the ground now in Argentina and start drilling some holes. And we expect there's going to be some fantastic news flow over the next 6 to 9 months as we advance our lithium exploration on the ground over there and the activities here in Australia with our graphite. We've got a great team on the board and are building a team from here on in. And yeah, I think we're really well positioned to get some success this year, and hopefully the share price will keep following its upward trajectory. And that's it from me. Thanks very much.